Alright, it's Thursday, June 28th, and this is 2381X's robot. This is our update number 2. So, the flywheel in this entire area has remained largely unchanged. Just because I haven't been able to cut the aluminum yet, I haven't found the person on our team with the proper tools. We have a scroll saw, but it's currently being repaired. So that's the update on that, and we don't have a handsaw because I broke it. I snapped the blade on it. Really smart, but there's some of our bracing. We just used to standoff through a shaft collar to another standoff into here. There's no bearing on this because I couldn't actually get one to fit because there's so much other stuff here that doesn't just want to work. Our intake still is the same. There's still a shaft going across. This might eventually be chained to drive. So we did actually have it chained to drive where this sprocket here was coming up, and then I realized if I was to do the same thing on the side, I wouldn't be able to turn. So I'm going to figure out if I want to do ratchets on both sides, like a double ratchet system, or if I want to do something else. But right now, that's going to stay how it is. And we'll just wait for the flywheel entire assembly to be fixed so we can actually build the hood for it properly with the proper mounting and not on this 3-section long. So if you'll notice, I would most of them work on the right side of the robot, just because, you know, we don't have like this proper aluminum yet, so this is actually steel, not steel as well, so I just did it on the right side of the robot, and I'll copy it later onto the left side with the right materials, and then undo this and then rebuild it so I don't forget. But if you'll notice, I moved this C-channel in the inside so that this chain could actually run through. It was just because this bearing made it too fat. Like, if you'll notice here, our triangle bracing here, it actually clears just enough, just barely. And that's just half-inch standoff going into a 3-section. And the only reason it's up high is because all of that is gearing for our drive, which is, well, quite frankly, it's a lot of gearing. I'll talk about it right now after I get some light over here, because I can't see. I don't think you guys can see very well either. So what this is 4 motors on drive. So, as we talked about last time, there's the 4 motors on drive, right? So there's these 2 393s and there's these 2 393s. And the reason these are set this way is firstly because it fits within that 18-inch size limit. Also, so it gives us our lift a little bit more space to come down this way, almost parallel to that brace. So it doesn't really affect the motors much. I just did it this way because it hopefully would give us more space. And all the 4 of our motors are back here in the back because that's a flywheel and that's an intake, and there's nowhere for me to mount motors up there without really taking up a lot of space, and I really don't want to do that because we're already 7 holes on each side are gone for our intake, so it's, yeah. And our intake is going to be, there's going to be rubber bands here, and then there's also going to be a flip out intake that kind of just comes down and there's just rollers spinning. It'll be linked up to here. I'll just do a little bit of chain across and then back down. It'll be fine, don't worry about it. And it's just driving some sprockets with some rubber bands on it so that we can actually run up to the wall and intake into here, as some people have mentioned last time. Our drive itself is chain front to back, and because we're using standoff drives, and I really don't want chain to be touching just aluminum, not because it's really an issue, I haven't really found it to be an issue in past seasons, but because I don't like the fact that chain makes a sound on aluminum. It really annoys me. So that's the only reason why I have these sprockets here. So these are really small, like 6-tooth sprockets. If you can tell, there's one on the bottom, one on the top. Then that chain goes down all the way to our new wheels, 3.25 inches. And then it just goes down into there. That's a big sprocket. I think it's 12-tooth. And it comes back up and then around. And so this is just shaft collars holding this shaft in place. I use Teflon washers in between everything because I have a lot of them, and because, you know, friction kills drives apparently. So that's just using black spacers because anything else would hit the rollers on these 3.25-inch wheels. I know, clearances. Same thing here. This is going to be fixed. This entire bracing system is going to have to be fixed later. But right now I just have this here. So our 4 motors, these are our 4 torque motors that are attached to 36-tooth gears. How this works is you have the motor, shaft collar, 2 Teflon washers, 2 more Teflon washers, nylon spacer, 1.25, the gear itself, and then you've got this. You've got your 3 black, I forget what these are made of, but 3 black spacers, and those just hold this gear in place because I don't actually have a shaft collar. You know, spacing issues, especially from the bottom, and I'm too lazy. So this is then a C channel that comes up and down. I've got my bearings on the outside because the shafts aren't long enough to reach all the way to the inside. So there's the shaft, and it's holding onto bearing, and then this is held in place. There aren't washers on here because I'm guessing plastic on plastic is probably just fine enough. And closer to the bottom, you'll see that there's more screws on. Hopefully that keeps the bearings on better. But at the really bottom, there's our chain and our black washers, and there's just enough clearance so that the chain doesn't touch those spacers again. So hopefully that's okay. I'm just going to flip this around so that you can see the other side. Oh, wait, nope, never mind, you can't really see the other side. Okay, we'll do it from here then. Hopefully you can see as well as I can. So, there's our 36 tooths. Oh my god, my light. There's our 36 tooth gears. Those go down actually to a 12 tooth gear. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but right in there, there's a 12 tooth gear which is attached to this sprocket, which then drives this chain, which drives the same size sprocket on the wheels, there and there, there and there. So that's really how we're getting power. We have one concern, which is whether or not that chain, there's enough contact from the chain onto that sprocket, because roughly right now it's actually a little bit more than 90 degrees, I think like 92 degrees or 93 degrees. So we're not sure if that's enough contact for power to be able to transfer effectively, but our chain is tensioned properly, so hopefully it should be okay. We've got a few standoffs in the back here just because I can, and I really don't want to deal with the chain falling off in VEX. I don't think chain really does fall off in VEX, but that's there in case something decides to come loose. I don't want to deal with it. There's the view from the back, and down here you can see actually the 12 tooth sprocket. So that is going to be driven by the 36 tooths from the motors, and then that goes into this thing here. Wow, that's a really long video. So yeah, that's it so far, and I've also moved it to my desk because why the hell not? So yeah.